Sergeant Lisa Rodriguez was the most experienced paratrooper in the 82nd Airborne Division. Over 8 years of service, she had completed 500 successful jumps into combat zones, training areas, and humanitarian missions around the world. Her precision landing skills were legendary, and she had never missed a designated drop zone by more than a few meters. But when military investigators finally analyzed Lisa's complete jump record, they discovered something impossible. Every single one of her 500 jumps had landed her in the wrong country, and each navigation error had systematically delivered classified intelligence to America's enemies. Sergeant Lisa Rodriguez had joined the 82nd Airborne Division straight from basic training, where her exceptional physical fitness and fearless attitude toward parachute operations had immediately distinguished her from other recruits. Her psychological profile indicated the kind of adventurous personality and stress tolerance that made successful paratroopers, combined with technical aptitude that suggested potential for advanced airborne specializations.
Which city in the world are you watching this video from today? Please subscribe and support us for more stories.
The 82nd Airborne Division, known as the All-American Division, was one of the most elite units in the U.S. Army, specializing in rapid deployment operations that could insert American forces anywhere in the world within hours of receiving orders. Paratroopers in the division were trained to operate independently behind enemy lines, often with minimal support and maximum exposure to hostile forces. Lisa's early training at Fort Bragg had been exemplary, with instructors noting her exceptional ability to control her parachute during descent and to land with precision that exceeded anything they had seen from previous trainees. Her spatial awareness and ability to compensate for wind conditions made her jumps look effortless, even under challenging weather conditions that caused problems for more experienced paratroopers. The technical skills that made Lisa such an effective paratrooper included advanced understanding of meteorology, navigation, and equipment operation that enabled her to execute complex jumps under conditions that would challenge even veteran airborne personnel. Her ability to read wind patterns and atmospheric conditions was almost intuitive, allowing her to make mid-flight adjustments that resulted in perfect landings. Lisa's first operational deployment came just 18 months after completing airborne training, when she was assigned to a humanitarian mission in Eastern Europe that required precision drops of medical supplies and personnel into remote areas affected by natural disasters. The mission was considered routine by airborne standards, but it provided Lisa with her first opportunity to demonstrate her skills under operational conditions. The humanitarian mission proceeded flawlessly, with Lisa executing multiple supply drops that delivered critical medical equipment to isolated communities with precision that impressed senior officers and aid organization personnel. Her ability to land supplies within meters of designated coordinates under challenging weather conditions was noted in mission reports and commendations. But the debriefing reports from the humanitarian mission included small discrepancies that were initially attributed to equipment malfunction or atmospheric interference. Lisa's actual landing coordinates were consistently several kilometers away from her intended drop zones, in directions that seemed to follow consistent patterns rather than random navigation errors. The pattern of navigation discrepancies in Lisa's jumps was subtle enough to be overlooked during routine mission reviews, particularly since her actual landings were always close enough to mission objectives to be considered successful. The differences between intended and actual coordinates were within acceptable margins for parachute operations, especially under adverse weather conditions. Lisa's second deployment was to a training exercise in Central Asia, where she was tasked with conducting reconnaissance jumps that would test new navigation equipment and communication procedures under simulated combat conditions. The exercise was designed to evaluate the effectiveness of advanced GPS systems and secure communication devices under field conditions. The Central Asia training exercise revealed additional navigation anomalies in Lisa's jump record, with her actual landing coordinates consistently differing from planned drop zones in ways that suggested systematic rather than random errors. But the differences were again small enough to be attributed to equipment problems or environmental factors that affected GPS accuracy. The investigation into Lisa's navigation discrepancies was initially focused on identifying technical problems with parachute equipment or GPS systems that might be causing consistent errors in her landing coordinates. Military engineers conducted extensive testing of her gear and found no evidence of equipment malfunction that could explain the consistent deviations. Lisa's third deployment was to a combat zone in the Middle East, where she was assigned to conduct reconnaissance and intelligence gathering operations that required her to jump into areas where enemy forces might be present. The mission represented a significant increase in danger and responsibility, reflecting the confidence that her commanding officers had in her abilities. The combat deployment proceeded according to mission parameters, with Lisa successfully completing intelligence gathering operations that provided valuable information about enemy activities and capabilities. Her reports were detailed and accurate, demonstrating the kind of tactical awareness and analytical skills that made her a valuable intelligence asset. But the post-mission analysis of Lisa's combat jumps revealed navigation discrepancies that were more significant than those observed during her previous deployments. Her actual landing coordinates were consistently several kilometers away from intended drop zones, in directions that seemed to follow specific patterns rather than random navigation errors. The pattern of Lisa's navigation errors began to attract attention from counterintelligence analysts who were responsible for identifying potential security breaches in military operations. The consistency of her coordinate discrepancies suggested either systematic equipment problems or deliberate deviations from planned mission parameters. The technical analysis of Lisa's parachute equipment and navigation systems revealed no evidence of malfunction or sabotage that could explain the consistent navigation errors. Her GPS units, altimeters, and communication equipment all functioned within normal parameters and showed no signs of tampering or modification that might affect their accuracy. The investigation into Lisa's jump patterns was expanded to include analysis of weather conditions, atmospheric interference, and other environmental factors that might affect parachute navigation. The analysis revealed that her navigation errors were too consistent and directional to be explained by natural factors that would cause random rather than systematic deviations. The breakthrough in understanding Lisa's activities came when counterintelligence analysts mapped all of her landing coordinates against known enemy military installations and intelligence facilities. The analysis revealed that Lisa's navigation errors had systematically taken her to locations where enemy forces maintained significant presence and operational capabilities. The pattern analysis showed that Lisa's jumps had landed her in proximity to enemy facilities in over 40 different countries, with coordinates that suggested deliberate targeting rather than accidental navigation errors. The precision of her actual landings indicated that she possessed detailed knowledge of enemy installation locations that was not available through standard military intelligence channels. The surveillance operation that was established to monitor Lisa's activities revealed that she was making contact with enemy personnel during her missions and providing them with classified information about American military operations, equipment capabilities, and strategic plans. Her parachute jumps were being used as cover for intelligence transfers that would be impossible to conduct through normal communication channels. The technical methods Lisa used to ensure that her jumps landed in enemy territory while appearing to be navigation errors included sophisticated manipulation of GPS systems and deliberate misreading of atmospheric conditions during descent. Her expertise in parachute operations enabled her to make precise course corrections that took her to intended locations while creating plausible explanations for coordinate discrepancies. Lisa's intelligence transfers during her clandestine meetings included detailed information about American airborne capabilities, deployment procedures, equipment specifications, and strategic plans for future operations. The intelligence she provided was comprehensive enough to enable enemy forces to develop effective countermeasures against American airborne operations. The recruitment process that had led to Lisa's involvement in intelligence operations for enemy forces had begun during her early training when she had been approached by individuals claiming to represent international peace organizations that opposed American military interventions. The recruitment had been gradual and sophisticated, using ideological manipulation rather than financial incentives. The ideological framework that Lisa's handlers used to justify her intelligence activities portrayed her actions as serving broader interests of global peace and stability rather than enemy military objectives. Her cooperation was presented as necessary to prevent American military actions that might destabilize regions or cause unnecessary casualties. The communication methods Lisa used to coordinate her intelligence activities included encrypted devices that were disguised as standard military equipment and communication protocols that appeared to be routine operational procedures. Her handlers had provided her with sophisticated technology that enabled secure communication without detection by military counterintelligence monitoring. The scope of classified information that Lisa had provided to enemy forces over 8 years of intelligence operations included details about American military capabilities, operational procedures, personnel assignments, and strategic plans that represented some of the most closely guarded secrets in the Department of Defense. The damage assessment conducted after Lisa's exposure revealed that her intelligence activities had compromised numerous American military operations and had potentially endangered the lives of thousands of military personnel who had been operating in areas where enemy forces had advanced knowledge of American capabilities and intentions. The arrest of Lisa Rodriguez was conducted during what appeared to be a routine training exercise to avoid alerting her handlers to the fact that her intelligence activities had been detected. The arrest team included counterintelligence specialists who were prepared to prevent her from destroying evidence or alerting other members of her spy network. The interrogation of Lisa revealed the full scope of her intelligence activities and the sophisticated support network that had enabled her to conduct espionage operations for 8 years without detection. Her confession provided detailed information about recruitment techniques, communication methods, and intelligence requirements that were used to develop countermeasures against similar operations. The investigation into Lisa's intelligence network led to the identification of other military personnel who had been recruited for similar operations, including personnel in other elite units who had been using their specialized training and access to classified information for intelligence gathering activities on behalf of enemy forces. The security reforms implemented after Lisa's exposure included enhanced psychological screening for personnel in elite units, improved monitoring of personnel with access to classified information, and technical measures designed to detect unauthorized communication activities and equipment modifications that might indicate intelligence operations. The trial of Lisa Rodriguez was conducted under military jurisdiction with extensive security measures to protect classified information about counterintelligence methods and ongoing investigations into her spy network. Her conviction on charges of treason and espionage resulted in a life sentence that reflected the severity of her crimes and the extensive damage she had caused. The families of military personnel whose operations had been compromised by Lisa's intelligence activities struggled to understand how someone who had appeared to be a dedicated soldier had actually been working to endanger their loved ones. The revelation that an elite paratrooper had been systematically betraying military operations was particularly traumatic for families who had trusted military leadership to protect their relatives. The institutional impact of Lisa's case extended beyond the immediate security breaches to include comprehensive reviews of elite unit training, deployment procedures, and oversight mechanisms designed to prevent similar cases of systematic espionage from developing within specialized military units. The technical analysis of Lisa's parachute operations revealed that her ability to manipulate navigation systems and landing coordinates demonstrated sophisticated understanding of both military equipment and enemy intelligence requirements. Her case became a study in how technical expertise could be exploited for espionage purposes when combined with ideological motivation and sophisticated recruitment techniques. The psychological evaluation of Lisa, after her arrest, revealed complex motivations that combined genuine ideological opposition to American military policies with sophisticated manipulation by enemy intelligence services that had exploited her beliefs and technical skills for their own strategic objectives. The long-term consequences of Lisa's intelligence activities influenced American airborne operations and elite unit procedures for years after her conviction. Her case demonstrated vulnerabilities in specialized military training that required comprehensive reforms to prevent similar exploitation by enemy intelligence services. The counterintelligence procedures developed in response to Lisa's case became standard protocols for monitoring personnel in elite units and for detecting unauthorized activities that might indicate intelligence operations. Her case influenced training for counterintelligence personnel and security procedures that were implemented throughout the military. Sergeant Lisa Rodriguez had indeed completed 500 jumps during her 8 years of service, but every single jump had been a deliberate intelligence operation that delivered classified information to enemy forces while appearing to be routine military operations. Her precision landing skills had been used not to serve American interests, but to systematically compromise them through face-to-face intelligence transfers that were impossible to detect through electronic surveillance. The paratrooper who had been celebrated for her exceptional skills and dedication had actually been using her elite training to conduct one of the most systematic and damaging espionage operations in military history. Her 500 jumps had not missed their intended targets. They had deliberately landed in enemy territory to serve objectives that were directly opposed to American security interests. Lisa's case demonstrated that the most dangerous intelligence threats sometimes came from personnel who possessed the most elite training and the most trusted positions within military organizations. Her systematic intelligence operations had exploited the very skills and access that made her valuable to American forces, turning her expertise into a weapon against the military that had trained and trusted her. The investigation that finally exposed Lisa's activities revealed that her navigation errors had been too precise and too consistent to be accidental, and that her 8 years of systematic intelligence gathering had caused damage to American security that would require years to assess and address fully. The 500 jumps that had made Lisa Rodriguez a legend in the 82nd Airborne Division had actually been 500 intelligence operations that demonstrated how elite military training could be exploited by enemy forces when combined with sophisticated recruitment and ideological manipulation. Her case became a cautionary tale about the vulnerability inherent in specialized military capabilities and the importance of comprehensive security measures to protect against insider threats in elite units. Sergeant Lisa Rodriguez had never missed a designated drop zone during her 8 years of service, but she had also never landed in the country where her missions were supposed to take her. Her perfect record as a paratrooper had been the perfect cover for systematic espionage operations that had compromised American security interests around the world while appearing to be routine military training and operations.